welcome back. And if you tuned in late, we are kind of honoring Miracle Hill and what they have done for 75 years and what they're still doing. And it's growing, and the need is always there. And I really quickly will introduce Sandy Furnell and Mark Alverson. And we're going to talk about this Overcomers program. Now, you work only with men.
Yes, ma'am.
But there is a similar program for women in addiction.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tell us what age group, 18 all the way?
Yeah, 18 to as old as you are, really. You know, no one younger than the age of 18.
Now, these are people addicted to what? Drugs and alcohol?
Primarily alcohol and drugs. One of the hardest cases that we had was a guy that was addicted to food. And the reason that was so difficult is because in the object of addiction being alcohol or drugs, you can live without crack cocaine, you can live without methamphetamine, you can live without heroin. You can't live without food. So for him to go through the process of recovery and battling why he's addicted to food is a very tough thing to do.
Okay, now why do people become addicted?
I will quote Gerald May first, who wrote the book Addiction and Grace. Gerald passed away several years ago, but he said the mechanism that drives addiction, or the thing that makes it work, is resident in everybody, myself included.
So we could all become
absolutely
addicted.
So the potential of addiction is resident in everybody. It's very easy for us to say us versus them. Well, there isn't an us versus them, there's just us. And many people can't be drug tested for their addiction. There isn't a drug test for workaholism. I can't drug test you for that. I can't drug test you for an addiction to pornography. You'll come away clean every time. But the thing that drives addiction is resident in everybody. And at its heart, addiction is the result of my unwillingness to face the pain in my life in order to get whole. I want to feel differently without having to work through the process of thinking differently in order to feel differently. And so when I introduce a substance, be that alcohol or meth or heroin or pornography or work or church, anything that helps me not deal with what I'm facing, the brain learns a trick. It learns that it doesn't have to work through those emotions. And so a dopamine cascade will take effect. And all kinds of cues will set off my craving to use whatever the object is, be it cocaine or pornography or work or anything. I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. This will help me not feel that. And so when you introduce a substance, the brain learns that it doesn't have to handle pressure because it can use that object, and the brain quits growing in that area.
But of course, addiction is, you talk about being a workaholic.
Right.
And that can be very destructive.
Yes.
But it doesn't destroy you like heroin, for instance, or alcohol.
All right, I would counter that argument. I understand why people would make that argument. Yes, there are more socially reprehensible consequences that come with heroin than there are workaholism.
I mean, if you've worked long, long hours and you get behind the wheel of a car and drive, you're not as likely to do damage to yourself or somebody else as if you've full of booze. Now, come on, you know, there's a big difference.
There is a big difference, true. However, if at the end of the day, I want to destroy a life, and that's really my goal, I'm not really interested in how I do it. Whatever works is what I'll use. So there are many people that get divorced and their lives are torn asunder because dad worked himself to death and was never home. So the dysfunction is the same as the alcoholic dad who just was never home. The thing that drives the addiction is what we're after, not the object of the addiction. And so in the Overcomers program, just like the ladies program, which is the renewal program, we use a 12-step model. AANA is also a 12-step model. but we use a Christian curriculum. So when we talk about God as we understand Him, or we talk about a higher power, we're talking about Christ as being the answer to why I do what I do. We say that the problem with us, I don't have a drug problem. I've got a me problem. And the only person who can really correct the me problem is Jesus Christ. And as you make a connection with Christ, then Christ begins the process of change. And that's important for people to understand, that in recovery, it is a process. In recovery, it's relational. Everything God did, He did for the purpose of relationship. Let us make man in our own image. That's relationship.
Now, they have to come willingly to this program of overcoming?
Well, it certainly helps if they come
I mean,
willingly, but some come less willingly than others. But our responsibility towards any client or any resident or any guest is basically threefold, is to give them the opportunity to do what they say they want to do, which is change their life, to give them the environment to do what they say they want to do, which is change their life, and then to give them the tools. So if we give them the opportunity, the environment, and the tools, then we've discharged our responsibility towards them, because we're aware that true life change happens when somebody meets Christ. The structure of the program gives an opportunity for God to work through and deal with some of the things that are cluttering up while you do what you do, but it's giving them the chance to let Jesus touch their life. Like our vice president said one time, vice president of adult ministry said one time to a guy that was coming into a program that he was running at the time, and he said, "Well, I don't have a program for you." And it was kind of a shocker. He said, "But God does." He said, "And if you'll connect to God, your life will change." And so we give them opportunity, environment, and tools to connect.
And this takes time.
It really does.
It's not
Absolutely.
a 24-hour deal. They make a commitment for.
Yes, it's 7 months in length, residential, in nature. They live there, work there, eat there, wash their clothes there, do tasks there, have group there, have session there. All this stuff is done there. Then there's a 6-month transitional phase afterwards, and that allows them to get outside the confines of the building and gives them the opportunity to practice in relationship with others in a home where they're working. They have church they have to go to, they have to meet with the mentors. There's structure, but it's not as confined as being in the facility itself.
And I guess you have no idea how many people through the years that you have helped.
Wow.
But people have succeeded
Yes.
in this program, and I have to ask you, how much is it expensive?
That is a question that we get asked all the time. And so we do have a program fee, and it's $85. And so they'll ask me, well, $85 a week? And I'll say, no, $85.
That's the total?
For 7 months. So it breaks out to about, 39 cents a day?
39 cents a day, okay.
That's pretty good.
You can make a new life, and I'll keep the information here if for any reason you didn't get it, or if you know someone who needs help, then those are the numbers to call. Now, in the few minutes we have left, we do want people to know about this marvelous banquet coming up with Billy Graham's grandson as the featured speaker. And it will be March the 18th at 6:30. And it is free, but please consider what you might give, and perhaps even to sponsor some other people. And there are 10 people at a table. So you can find out more about it and by calling that banquet number, 268-4357, and that's 864. This is a really tremendous opportunity, and there will be literature there. You can find out all about Miracle Hill, as well as have a lovely dinner and hear something that probably is life-changing. And you're there to change people's lives.
We're there to partner with what God's already doing in people's lives. Miracle Hill is kind of the conduit. God's at work all around us, and we get to partner with Him. We get to see what God's up to, and as He brings people into the ministry, whether it be in the children's facilities or the adult facilities, we get to be a part of seeing God transform lives, and it's such an incredible opportunity. it almost doesn't feel like you're going to work every day because you're a part of something so incredible.
And I love what Mark has said. You don't sit in judgment on anyone. You just try to give them the tools to lift themselves up with the help of the
Right.
Lord.
Absolutely.
So every day is a miracle day for
It is.
Miracle Hill, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'll keep that information here, and hopefully we will all be able to attend that banquet. Thank you both for coming and sharing with us. And wherever you are, we wish you peace and joy. We'll see you next time.